So,
Hello,
Natasha, you're in
everyone.
red.
I am in
Hello,
red today.
everyone. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
very red
Russian red.
today. We were called
Revolutionary red.
Reds. Reds.
Reds. Yes, reds.
Why?
Okay, so
Why am I red? Tell us.
why are you in red? So, Russia, 1917. The old Russia is gone, the new one is born. Nobody actually knows who helped with Russian Revolution. There is a big conspiracy theory. So, we're not going to go there because we
No,
didn't
no,
witness
no.
it. We are going to talk about USSR as we knew it, before perestroika, before the new changes, before the new Russia.
Glasnost. As I
Glasnost.
tried to say
So,
in English.
yes. So,
Ah.
what do you remember about USSR?
So are we
How did
going
you?
to try
How it
talk about
felt?
positives or negatives? Let's talk about negatives first, and then we change to talk about positives because it's
Okay.
not
Okay.
wasn't all bad, right? It wasn't all bad.
No.
Yeah,
Besides, we were kids. Besides, we were kids,
and
and
you
I
were
don't think that
kidder.
we.
You were kidder than me,
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little bit
younger. Yeah.
smaller,
Um.
younger.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, we have to say that Soviet Union or Russian socialism. Russian, that was international, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same as, for example, Chinese. It wasn't
Oh no.
definitely not the same as North Korea because it's a different story. And it wasn't even European socialism like Bulgaria, right? Or West,
Cuban. No. Yeah.
Definitely not Cuban, but probably actually Bulgaria was better than us, right? Um, but yes, but Cuban definitely North Korea. We had very different history with socialism, how it was built. In every country, it was a different kind of socialism. Whatever their leader understands this term and understands this politics,
Yeah.
right? They built country from that point of view. We had
Yeah.
bad period of time, very bad with Stalin, but we weren't born yet. Even me.
Even
Even
you
me.
and I can say, based on the historian view, Stalin's time were not that bad. Also they had bad times and good times because
It depends for
because
who.
of it depends on what
For whom?
type of good. No, it depends on what type of good and what type of bad we're discussing. Because if we're talking about, a lot of lives of people who were damaged and actually, gone because of some thing that happened to our country, that's one thing. But if we're talking um, about how good, how fast our country became, very huge, powerful during this particular time. Also, we can say that it was kind of good, and
On international, let's say on an international scene, the country became very powerful, but it's always was powerful. The
yeah,
Russia itself, not the Soviet Union, right? Because it wasn't Soviet Union, but the Russia, it was a powerful country already, and it became very powerful. On the people, for
oh,
people, it
people,
was
yes,
not that good. Like I
people
know, yeah,
people are always, the victims of great ideas, bad ideas, and desire for power, wealth, and everything that we can name. It doesn't. It's not just one country. It's all over the world, and
yeah.
we can name a lot of bad things that happened during the imperial times, and we can say a lot of bad things happened during the chaos of revolution because there was a time where there wasn't any government at all, and actually there was even time after 1917 when there wasn't history at all because people from the new world, new Russia, decided that history did not exist until 1917. But pretty fast they understood that it's not even possible to live in a country without history, without knowing it. So yeah, but I think that what
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'll
I,
go
I
back to
I
this.
think that
Mhm.
I think that every piece of our history has pluses and minuses. Every piece of our history can be good in our memories and in the memories of people who lived through this history time. Like 90s in Russia. You know it, and I know it. There was pretty bad time. And me, as a kid, I didn't understand any of it. I wasn't living in terror. I wasn't living in poverty. I wasn't living in, this thoughts of disaster happening. I
But
know
let's
that some
go
of
like
my,
a more on
yeah,
time because we're
more,
switching to
yes,
different. Yeah, yes, organize the timeline.
yeah,
So we have maybe we just touched a little bit of surface of the very beginning of the Soviet Union, and maybe the middle, and then where we lived, and then the end of it, right? So the very
yeah,
beginning,
okay,
because it just touched everyone. I think every family was touched by it. It's just Kulachevania. All right, when it
yes,
started. I don't think anyone, like all my friends, they went through it, weirdly enough. So basically, when stuff were taken away by the government from regular people, and it was
yeah,
supposed to be like Robin Hoods who take things from rich and give it to poor, it was not like this. These things were taken from everyone, like my family's
yes,
grandma parents. They weren't rich people, but they had a cow. Okay, they had one worker in their field, and they had like I don't know, pillows and blankets, normal
yeah.
stuff. Everything was taken away from them. Their freaking cow, their freaking pillows and
Bless you,
blankets.
someone
Oh
who's,
my God, we have a great atmosphere
yeah, I
today
can
and
hear
great
it.
background noises. It's not music.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
even
and
say that,
probably you were as well, right?
yeah, I think that it was also a very sad time of losing your roots because a lot of families with, like royal or blue blood, whatever you call it, they try desperately to run away or to, dig your past, dig your ancestry as deep as you could. My family actually did that. My family, they burned every
So
document,
you were
everything
whites,
they had.
right? You were whites, right? Because our
Yes,
country was
yeah,
divided by two whites
by
and
red and
reds.
white. Yeah.
Yeah, intelligent,
So
kind of rich class in cities, and reds.
yeah,
Like even though we were reds, but we weren't reds. Like, and I don't know what we were actually. Who were
my
partisan kind of
my part of my family,
good
they were
people.
like from aristocracy, and they actually just burned everything down. And even my grandmother, she didn't actually, know for a very long time who her grandmother was. So this is the saddest part of this particular side of the story. Not
So you
just,
were grew up
not
in
just,
cities, right? You were grew up in
yeah,
cities, and you
yeah,
were from like a educational, intelligent family, and basically you couldn't run into different countries, so you have to destroy
yeah,
everything about yourself
yeah,
just to survive, right?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I even know that my friend, she found out that her great grandmother or great grandfather, I don't remember, they hid two little portraits of children. They hid it in a museum during the Second World War, and they didn't put any name on it. Just like number. And I think she found out. I don't remember how she found out about this thing. And when she took the portraits, she also found out that these portraits were of her relatives,
Mm-hmm.
and her relatives were also some form of aristocracy, and they hid those portraits to also hide their identity. So this is it's very complicated. It's very sad and complicated, and that's why a lot of people
Yeah.
right now, they cannot relate to a lot of things because they lost their roots.
The same happened with my grandfather. Like I know my grandmother's history,
Hmm.
right? They was sent from Ukraine to Siberia, and
Hmm.
before the revolution, and I have no idea what they done in Ukraine. I don't know
Hmm.
who they were or whatever they were sent to Siberia. I know nothing about my grandfather, where he came from. Zero
Hmm.
knowledge. I think what happened to him, I don't know. What happened to his family, I don't know. But we have no memories about his roots. That's crazy, right? Like, I don't know. I know what
Yeah,
in grandmother was and the scouts already were taken from my grandma's family when she was like 2 years old. She was
yeah.
a child. But what happened before that? No one knows. How did it
You
end up
needed,
in that village?
yeah,
No one knows.
you needed to be proletary. Only this way
Hmm.
you could actually survive.
Which is
And
proletariat, which is
then,
exact of rat, working
yeah,
for the new government. That's what you will
yes,
have to be.
should
Yeah.
be a working class, positive to a new government, positive to a new life, and believing in everything, in every dream of communist future. Um, Also, I'm not going to say anything positive or negative about these things because we were never, we never experienced those. We, even as a historians,
Personally, no. Yeah.
yeah, even as historians, you cannot put your feelings in it. You need to be objective, not subjective. There's this thing that happened, this thing that didn't. So I'm not going to talk about this. I mean, I can talk about this, but I don't think it's very interesting. I think that more interesting talking about USSR as we experienced that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Let's go
I
there. It's
remember
from the
when
childhood.
I
Do
was,
your childhood.
yeah,
Hmm.
I remember when I was a kid, every, like my memories now, that everything was very simple, very simple. If you had like oranges or chocolates, you were very happy about it. If you had a lot of snow, you went outside just playing, and you didn't need any like gadgets or anything. You just didn't need it.
But
You
nowhere
remember? I
though.
think,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I think you remember too. Like we were playing outside, and we didn't have money, of course. But sometimes we played like shopping or anything. What did you use for that? Like leaves, tea leaves, tree leaves. We were using tree leaves as the money,
Oh, you
and
mean
we
this
were
is
like playing.
yeah, but that's like
Yeah,
every kid. Yeah, we were regular kids. That's what the whole point
but
is. We grew up in
yes, but
normal, like just
yeah,
normal
and
childhood.
but we didn't even think about getting some personal money. I didn't. I wasn't thinking about this like at all. I knew that if I
Yeah.
want something, I can go and ask my mom. If she has the opportunity, she will give it to me. But it was I don't know. There were a lot of spoiled brats like throughout history in every city, major city, whatever in every country. But I think that majority of us were not that spoiled, and we were actually happy when we got something.
Yeah, well, people, since I live in America and you live in Russia, people in
Yeah,
America asking me, often ask me, how was your, how was it to grow up in Soviet Union? How
yeah.
was your childhood? And I always say, my childhood was amazing. Like, I cannot say anything bad about my childhood. And the thing was, we were raised with the mentality that everyone should be equal. Like,
Yeah,
we didn't have classes, right? We're not supposed to have, right? Rich people, poor people, we were supposed to be all the same. So our teachers would be paid the same money as our, I don't know, сантехник забыла, plumber, right?
plumbers.
Plumbers. Our doctors, and it's probably not even, it didn't even change much still, would get paid, the same as plumbers. And so the workers and intellectual workers and physical workers would be paid the same, but would say live the same in the same apartment. It's still happening, right? Next door to each other. And it was bad to brag about money, to say anything about money, who has more, who had less. We had almost no one had cars, very few people had cars. And
Hmm.
the word intelligent was insulting. Do you remember this? Oh, look at you, you're so
Yeah,
intelligent. uh, how do you even,
Shiva intelligent.
shitty intelligent, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
It, it's so everyone should be on the same level everywhere, financially, educational,
in
even though
theory.
it, in theory, exactly,
In
because
theory.
we always know, we know what happened. There were
Yeah.
Bribes,
I mean, I can tell
presents.
you that.
I
Yeah, I
do a
can
lot
tell
of
you that.
this today,
Yeah, quotes.
quote
I
unquote.
can
Yeah,
tell you that when I was a kid, a lot of people had cars already. Like my parents had cars,
I
my
started
grandparents had
getting more
cars.
cars, not in mine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like my uncles and aunts had cars, and they could buy it. They didn't have to get credit for that. And what is
yeah, didn't have credit.
even more important, everyone had their own apartments. They didn't rent, they had their own places to live.
Not
Like
not
my
not true
grandparents,
though.
I mean, in my childhood, in my childhood,
No, no,
yeah,
community, the rooms. A lot of people had just rooms,
no,
and a lot of people lived in dorms. A lot of
yes,
people. We
but
started from dorms, from a dorm.
I mean, in my childhood, in my family, everyone had their own apartments. I know that my father, he was born in this type of apartment, like in a dorm, and my mother also was born in this type of apartment. But very fast, they actually, got their own personal apartments. Do you
They
remember
started
this?
getting more apartments in the 80s, 90s, even though it was like it started building more or something. I don't know. But we got like a cooperative, like we actually didn't
Yeah.
get the government, ever didn't get a government housing. My mom was online to get a government because it's not like in
Yes.
America government housing, it's different. And you
Yes,
had to
but
get in line to get that
even your
apartment.
yes, but even your mom, if she bought the apartment by herself, she could buy the apartment. It was
Mm,
possible.
Not right
It
away,
was
but it was like challenging. It was challenging.
yes, it was
It wasn't
challenging, but
easy.
it was possible. It wasn't easy for anyone, but it
Like we
was
lived like
kind of
dorm for years.
no. It was no my type of no my type of story because
Well, you
I
lived
was
in
born.
St. Petersburg. I lived in Kazakhstan. Like, excuse
Yeah,
me,
I mean,
surrounding intelligent.
but I mean that we still have this type of housings like dorms, коммунальная квартира, and still people live in those.
In Moscow,
So
yeah, and in Moscow and
in
St.
Moscow, in
Petersburg, yeah.
St. Petersburg, and a
We
lot
didn't
of
have
other
it in
cities.
Kazakhstan actually.
Mm. So I think that even though in theory everyone should be equal, it was not. Let's say
Yeah,
it was not
I
like
think
this
it's
at all.
actually also
Yeah.
very interesting that people don't know about. It's a difference how people lived in Soviet Union in different countries and even in different cities.
Mm. Yeah.
Kazakhstan, where I grew up, was not the same as Russia. Russia North, Siberia was not the same as Russia, St. Petersburg, and Moscow. St. Petersburg wasn't the same as Moscow. So if a capital,
Absolutely.
it was everything in the whole Soviet Union was everything basically centralized around the Moscow, around
Yeah.
the capital. So all
I don't know.
resources went to Moscow.
Yeah, if you remember, there was this particular phrase that started to be very popular, like in '70s, as my parents told me, колбасная электричка,
No, не у нас.
sausage
Not
express, sausage
Sausage
express.
Express, not in Kazakhstan.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Russia, it was very, very popular, like sausage express, where people went by train to Moscow to buy a lot of like sausages, I mean, like kolbasa, and they took it home. And yes, I think that if we're talking about living like in say in Leningrad in this time of history, it was not Saint Petersburg yet, or Moscow. We had much more opportunities. Of course, we had a lot of things that we could get. Um, Different great lines. Do you remember you were like waiting with your mother in line to get something?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah, but you still could get it.
You're
Yeah, but
not
you still did.
everything. Not
Not
everything is
everything.
basics.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you
and
remember this
not
this this
clothes.
thing that? Do you remember this thing like торговля из-под полы?
Of course, because that was popular. That's what people
Yeah,
don't know about
yeah,
the particular our socialism, our Soviet Union. It's not exactly not China. Like we did not start with the deficit.
Yeah.
It was a deficit in the beginning, like everyone was hungry. My mom grew up hungry, no clothes, nothing. Then it started rebuilding. It's about after World War II. It
Yeah.
was horrible, right? And after revolution, rebuilt a little bit. War started again. The country went to pieces, to shreds, and started rebuilding in about up to 1960s. The country became kind of function normally. There was stuff in the store, people could buy food and everything. The shelves were full, like we see now in America, maybe not to that extent, but a lot of food. And then it started decelerate, right? Everything started disappearing, one things after another. And to get things,
Yeah.
people have to know people. Why it started disappearing? Because people started stealing stuff from factories, from
Well,
everything. People started stealing, so nothing got to the
no,
store.
no,
That's
no.
one of the
Actually,
reasons. Like it's true, people stole stuff from factories. They hid
people stole stuff,
handies
but
behind their clothes and took it out and
yeah,
sold it to their relatives.
but deficit didn't start because of this. It was based on some
Well, it's one of
information and everything.
it's important things. Yeah, it's one of the things. Stealing.
Not in this stealing was not the main cause. It was not
It's
even the
huge
cause.
cause. Huge
No,
cause.
it
Yeah.
was it
Because
was
I
something that
if
happened. It
I
was
know.
something that happened because of the deficit. Actually, it was a sabotage. It was a sabotage. It was an inside job. I can say, and I remember my dad. He had this saying: "Не имей 100 рублей, а имей 100 друзей." You don't have to
Don't
have
have
100
$100,
rubles
have
or
100
dollars. You
friends.
have to have 100 friends. Even only in this particular situation, you could get everything you wanted because you had friend here, you had friend there, and they could get it to you. Like if you had a person who was working in shops, oh my,
Any
you
shop,
were a very
basically.
any shop basically.
Any
Yeah,
shop, which is like people, it's very important. I think it's very important for people to know what was happening, how it was happening, and why we came to the end of this regime, and how we really
hmm
lived. And it wasn't cool to be a doctor. Even doctor got their money, they got it from people, from their patients basically paid
yeah,
them, brought them present, brought them money, and all of that. It was cool to be a salesperson. It was cool to be a salesperson in a store because then you had resources.
yeah,
You could dress yourself, you could dress up your family, and you could have money because you put overhead on anything.
yeah, yeah. I
Nothing
mean,
was in the store.
economic politics of Khrushchev and Khrushchev's times, they made this thing possible. The deficit started to become the main theme of every talk, and the economy of our country started crumbling in 60s. Then they had some peaks after this, and then everything went to destructions in
Yeah.
1991.
Oh, so some reason, somehow, I don't know, either means mentally or somehow, I don't remember 90s as 90s are remembered by most of people. I do remember deficit. I remember completely empty shelves. Like we couldn't buy clothes, right? But for example, it
Талоны,
was
талоны.
through our whole life, through my childhood as
Мгм.
well. We couldn't buy clothes. It was just
М,
clothing was always a deficit, not food, but clothing, and we had to make our clothes. It's somebody's like people who could make clothes. So we custom dressed. We were custom dressed, but we were custom dressed because we had no choice. It was we couldn't just find clothes. But with food, it was time. It was less and less with time until it was completely gone. We had talons. Yeah, exactly. We had to
Yeah,
get
you know,
coupons to get food
yeah,
and soap and
y-
sugar,
and everything, and technologies and everything. But I can
meat.
tell you
Yeah,
that in my childhood, I was dressed very good. My mother was dressed very good. So we didn't. As a child, I didn't see any deficit in clothing, and
did you have access to buy clothes or you made them?
no, we bought the clothing,
Yeah, we had
and
like no clothes. We just couldn't find it. We didn't.
no,
In Kazakhstan, it was just no. can close.
I
It was the
don't
same
know.
dress in all stores.
I don't know if that was happening because of my parents and because of who they knew. I don't know. I don't remember
they,
because I was
they
I
were
was too
cool.
small.
They knew salespeople.
I was too small. I
Yeah,
was too child for this to
you're too
know it
young.
and to
Yeah.
understand it. Yeah, I was too young for this. So I just remember that I had a lot of dresses. I had a lot of tights, white tights, red tights, and
Oh, I have
everything.
those too. Yes.
Yeah, I've had a lot of things, and of course I had something sewn by my great grandmothers. I had something that knitted by my grandmother. So of course, made clothing was also something that I was wearing because of how it operated, because how
Yeah.
everything operated.
It
And
was
I
the only
remember,
type of
by the way,
business, by the way. Go ahead.
I remember that after 90s, like in 2000s, where when handmade things in Europe, in America, were something that cost a lot of money here in Russia, if you told anyone that you had something handmade, you were looked down upon because it means that you didn't have money to buy things. Oh my God, this shirt is sewn by your parent or your grandmother. Ew, that was bad. And this particular
I
stuff,
don't
it
remember that.
happened.
Hmm.
It was in 2000s. It started in like in 90s and in 2000s. Like
Okay.
everything had to be bought. Everything had to be new. Everything had to be like very bright, and this trends, you had to follow them. Like when I was in school, you had to follow trends to be a cool kid, because if you didn't, oh my gosh, no, we're
So
not
you
gonna.
probably tried to get out of the Soviet Union when we made
Yeah,
everything. Yeah, so it was
yes,
like
yes.
it
So
wasn't cool to be Soviet.
yes, this thing, this particular part when a lot of people had to have this handmade clothing, it was a problem. And like in the memory of even children, it was something not very cool, and you had to avoid it with all costs, but by all means necessary. It was something on the sort. Right now handmade things are on top. We have a lot of like people who are making it their own business and clothings, and also like bags and everything. Now it is
Right.
trending. Yeah.
And it's
But
expensive now.
very
Really
expensive, and
expensive,
people
yeah.
want to buy. Yes, and people want to buy it now. And I can even tell you that my grandmother, she knitted very well. My dad's mother. And when she was knitting, I was a kid, I didn't understand any of it. I was looking at her like, why are you doing this? I'm not going to wear it. Like, you're not going to make me. And right now I
Yeah.
still have a clothing that she knitted, and those cardigans and everything, and I actually want to wear it because it's
Now
really
it's yeah,
cute and really cool.
it's
Yes,
different, very
yes.
different. We look at it very differently.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
I can tell
Yeah.
you that I remember very good, like the taste of some foods. Ice cream, my favorite food of my childhood and
Hmm.
my adult lives. This sweet vanilla ice cream. Oh my god, it was so tasty. It was the perfect thing. I don't know if this was because I just liked ice cream and I was a kid, or because it was really much better than it is now.
I remember because I grew up in Kazakhstan again, in Karaganda, and we had a little bit
Mm-hmm.
different type of candies and ice creams than
Mm-hmm.
in Russia. Even though it was Soviet Union, it was supposed to be all distributed evenly to all cities and countries, but it wasn't like that. And we had our own candy factory. Like almost every big city had a candy factory, and we had very popular brand like Red Riding Hood, popular Russian candy, uh, uh, bear, Mishka Kosolapi, the Norse bear, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Where was
Красная
I going
шапочка.
with that? Krasная Shapchka, where I was going with that? Babe, you're not babe. Where was I going with that? I was going with somewhere with that. Oh, yeah. Um,
Different foods.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But like, for example, I never tried plombier ice cream with this vanilla ice cream. No, Eskimo vanilla ice cream in a chocolate covering. until I got to Moscow. That's where I tried it the first time, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I never,
How
because we had
could
Plombier,
you?
we had
Yeah.
waffle cone ice cream, but we never had Eskimo. But like, we never
Oh,
made it in our candy factory. It never got to us from other countries, republics. It's just different things. I tried first time bananas in Moscow. Like, it never got to us. But we couldn't make extra money. But I'm jumping from subject to subject, but we probably will be doing that during the whole time because there's just a lot to
yeah.
cover. And we couldn't make extra money on top of what we had. Like, the teacher had their salary. They couldn't just have a gig to have to make
Yeah.
extra. It
Well, they.
just, we didn't even have that mentality. The only people who make business, it's you could make it with
Mm,
bribes, or people who were sellers who put overhead on their everything. That's why everything was disappearing, because it was more and more of a business. But we didn't even know that was a business, but it was
in Russia,
private.
in Russia, in Russia, in Leningrad, a lot of people had gigs, and they called them sharashka, shabashka.
Was it the 90s? Because the old business started
No,
in
it was
90s, before 90s.
no, no. It's not. It's not. It was not a
But it
business. It
wasn't a
was like
business. Yeah,
some.
it wasn't.
It
Oh,
was.
that's what
It
it's
was some
called.
kind of a.
Okay,
It was. It was kind of a side
like a
job.
gang, like a gang.
A side job.
Sharashka, it would be gang translated.
No, no, it was not gang.
Шарашкина контора.
Не,
Да?
шабашка,
Шабашка?
шабашка.
I don't
Мгм.
know that. Okay. See, like,
It's a side job.
see
It's
how
like
interesting it is.
you're like mechanic. I don't know. You're a mechanic,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
someone asks you to look at someone else's car, and this is not through the place that you're working at. Like it's on a Sunday or Saturday in garage, and you go in there and you are working on someone's car. It's a side job, shabashka, and he's
Mm-hmm.
giving you money for this. Yeah, something
No,
like this
maybe it
happens
was,
here.
but I just don't. Yeah, probably because I personally didn't interact with it. Probably I just don't remember.
Mm.
But it is what big differences between all the republics. In some of the republics, like when Soviet Union became a Soviet Union, from everyone, basically Russian became an official language
Mm.
everywhere, right? But not every republic or countries became republics, right? Soviet Union republics adopted that, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
countries or republics never started speaking the language. It's a few republics, Eastern, or I mean Asian, right? It's Tajikistan. They basically started speaking Russian, but a lot of people in villages never learned Russian. It's Georgia. Georgia was very, proud of their language. They spoke Russian, but with strong accent, and they did continue speaking Georgian. I think it's Uzbekistan, right? Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, not
I
so
don't know.
much.
I don't
Kazakhstan,
know
yeah,
about those countries.
it's just weird. Julia, because she was a child, and she basically her young adult. She was young adult when the Soviet Union collapsed already. But it was so strange. It's like America, right? United States of America, and every state has its own rules, basically, its own
Mm.
culture, kind of its own accent. It was the same, but can you imagine that it
Yeah,
was a different? It was like Mexico would become a part of. It's a joke, people. But for example, just an example, right? Okay, we're not
mm.
getting mad here. We're not stressing. For example, it's would be as part of the United States. That would be completely different. That's what it was. It's like a Mexico right now, part of America, but it's still Mexico, right? That's how it was, right? I
I
mean,
don't.
it's example. I'm trying to give it a good example so it will be clear to understand like what it would be, but I'm not trying to get anyone mad. I'm afraid. We're talking about the Soviet Union. It's
I
still not
mean,
collapsed. We're still in Soviet
we're
Union. Let's talk about
we're still in the Soviet
life there.
Union, and
Yeah,
we had 15 republics in
15.
USSR.
Totally
15
different. Totally different countries,
different. Absolutely.
culture,
Yes.
language, people looking,
Yes.
everything. America still people kind of look the
But
same sort of, right?
I
But no, actually,
yeah, but I don't think that
forget about it.
it
I can't
is.
compare. It's different.
I don't think it's totally true that those countries, the republics, didn't speak Russian because Russian was the main language of the country.
Not in
Maybe
villages.
in some. not maybe in some villages where people didn't come out of those
In
villages,
cities.
maybe, I don't, yeah, in the cities, and most of the people, they actually spoke Russian and they understood it, and of course it was very good that they remembered and learned their own cultures and
They
everything,
kept it.
and they kept it, they knew it, they learned it, they spoke their languages, and this is the richness of this multicultural thing is really really good, because like my uncle, he was in army, I think in maybe in Kazakhstan, maybe he was in some other like republics, and
Military people went everywhere. Yeah.
he actually like brought a lot of things like souvenirs, yeah, from those countries, but they were so part of our day-to-day life that I didn't feel that this particular cup like from Uzbekistan is something out of my range or something like this. Everything was so mixed together. It was really bright and unique.
It's very strange. It's very interesting, though, as well. It's strange and interesting. And when we look at it, the Soviet Union wasn't such a huge part. It was just 70, right? 70 years. It's just 70
Yeah,
years. It's not such a huge
just
period of
70
time.
years.
We adapted a few things. Particularly, we adapted a lot of cuisines from other
Oh yeah.
countries, and we created our own Soviet Union dishes, like here under the floor or Olivier, right? We had like some things like
Hmm.
that. It's a different story. And but at the same time, when I went to Tajikistan, and it was after Soviet Union collapse, it was I think 2002 maybe. It was Dushanbe, right? I'm not
Hmm.
confusing anything. That's Dushanbe, is Tajikistan, right? And it was big city. And we went. It was my boyfriend who became later my ex-husband now. So we went to a neighbor's house. First of all, not just they kept traditions of cultural traditions, like for example, they killed an animal and they drank blood of it, okay, or raw blood
Hmm.
of it. I think it was either sheep or goat. I think it was sheep. Um, but the elderly, they did not speak Russian, okay. The elderly did not speak Russian, the grandmas. Okay, they never learned that. The young people, they didn't have a choice. They went to schools where the school must speak Russian, so the younger people spoke Russian with an accent. But
Hmm.
older generation, they never learned it. So yes, we can say that it was common language, and I mean official language and everything. But if people didn't want to learn it, and I'm talking about major city, I'm talking about capital of the country, they didn't want to learn it. They didn't learn it. Okay, and
You
it was in Asian countries mostly because they're like we didn't want to be part of it, and also I think it's pre-Baltic also, right?
you have to
Pre-Baltic
remember
countries.
one. Yeah, you have to remember one little thing. Republics from USSR, they didn't just join the USSR. Before that, a lot of those particular republics were the Russian Empire. So it was not instant like USSR was born and then a lot of republics like Latvia or some other countries decided to join in. No, they were part of this particular part society before that. So it's a very long history. It's a very long period of time, not just 70 years, not
You
just
mean
70
you
years.
you mean something yet developed, started developing
Yeah,
before
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole mamba jamba. And just I want to remind people that we're not talking about our podcast is not historian podcast. We're not historians.
No,
We're just
no.
talking about our experience. That if you were like
Our
trying
experience.
to get like some historical facts or dates out of it, it's not going to happen. We're just talking like regular, girls
Regular,
in the
yeah,
kitchen,
girls
like
talk.
normal,
Yeah.
yeah, girls talk, conversation. We just have our own opinion about it and our memories, so just take it as that as it is. um if I'm talking about
I remember.
pre-Baltics,
I
that's
actually,
what
yeah.
I
I
remember.
actually remember. I actually remember that Pribaltics, Latvia, Estonia, Litva, they were not very positive to USSR at all. And
Not at
I
all.
remember that. Yeah, and I remember that my mom. She told me when she was young. She went to, I think it was Tallinn. She had some relatives there, and she wanted to buy something like in the store. And a person, the salesperson, she was really, really, really rude to the point of like being dramatically rude, like my mom said, and she didn't tell her anything. She pretended not to know Russian, and like
I heard
even
about a lot
even
of stories like this,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of most people there knew Russian and they
But
spoke Russian.
like Russian, like
So
that was your mom's fault, right? It wasn't
yeah,
like
it
your
was
mom
not. It was not.
said, you become a part of Soviet Union, you speak
Yeah,
Russian.
it
Your
was.
mom has nothing to
It
do
was
with it.
not. It was a particular climate, I think, in the country, in some places of USSR that started to become very vile. And I think that, well, here in Russia, we think we know what happened, and it was America.
Let's not get there. Let's not get on international
Let's
level.
not get there. No, of course, very international intervenience in this particular stuff. It happened, and a lot of people around the world didn't want USSR to succeed because it was too big, too powerful. It had too many sources and everything. So it is what it is. But to
The
tell you,
Soviet Union
like,
together was very, very strong, very strong. Even
yeah,
like
yeah,
just talking about even Olympic Games that going on right
yeah,
now. Like
yeah.
it was the
I
strongest
can,
team because we had so many people from all over.
yes. Yeah,
The
I can tell you
strongest
that
athletes.
when I was just a kid, of course, I didn't understand any of it. I was just living in the country. I was just living in Leningrad. I was just living my life, and my people were like, they were just Russians to me. I didn't even remember like anything, any composed, wordings or lozungi. It wasn't happening anymore. I
Headlines or
remember,
headlines or something.
yeah, I remember like we were going to parades like 9th of May and 1st of May,
First
of
of May,
course, because
yes, it was gorgeous. I loved it.
yes, because it was like a festival. To
It
me
was
as a kid,
peaceful.
it
Yeah,
was peaceful. Yes, we
even
were
though it
having
was
fun.
patriotic.
We were having fun. Like my dad, he put me on his shoulders, and I was like, "Hey!" I had
Oh,
my
it's
balloons
like a
and
Thanksgiving
everything.
parade. If we compare to America, it was like a Thanksgiving parade, just
Yeah, oh,
patriotic kind of.
yeah, yeah. So it was a lot of fun for kids and everyone. We were talking about everyone should be equal. This was like a plus and a minus to this because of the clothings. Do you remember how poorly people were, not poorly, were
The
not a
same.
lot of color. It was not a
We're
lot of
just all the
color in
same.
people's
Yeah,
clothings. Yeah, this very ugly boots and everything. And of course, you had to sew something for yourself, like in 60s and 70s, if you wanted to be styled or something like this. But if you will try to Google what types of dresses, types of fabrics, and everything our country showed, like in Paris, oh, it was beautiful. Such a great pieces, bright colors, and everything. So it's kind of like it's such a dissonance, right? You don't give anything to your own people, but you show to the Europe what you can do. I never understood that. Never. That's why when like ages started, I was
we still
born.
have this mentality. By the way, I think
Yeah, like I was
the
born in
same.
80s,
Mhm.
and we started to have those little cute Chinese dresses for girls, and everyone
I
wanted to
had
get
it.
those
Everyone.
Chinese dresses. Yes, and I also had. There was synthetics. It was not even cotton or anything. It was just
It was common.
pure synthetics. Yeah, and everyone wanted to have this Chinese dresses because they were colorful, because they were cute, because kids were kind of bright and happy in them. I remember I first got my jeans, my first pair of jeans, blue jeans. I didn't want them
Malvina,
at all. I
Malvina,
don't remember them. I don't remember
Malvina.
that.
It was Malvina jeans.
Maybe
Everyone had them. Everyone in 90s.
I I didn't want to have them because I didn't know, I didn't understand what was that, like, jeans. Why do I wear jeans and everything? It had buttons on the side, and the first
I
time I
think it
got
was
it,
our first jeans, wasn't it? Like we didn't have jeans before.
yeah, yes,
We were not a
but
jeans nation.
yeah, like the first time I got it, there was it. I was a jeans girl after this. But I
Yeah,
remember my
same.
dad my dad told me how they got jeans, and they varili, they were cooking those jeans, to make them like not torn, but to have this effect of a little worn piece
Mm-hmm.
of jeans. And they even have this particular word for this, varionki.
Варенки, да, Мальвина варенки. Mm-hmm. It's basically washed out jeans.
Yeah,
Washed
basically,
jeans,
yeah,
yeah. It's a wash like what kind of light blue, kind of with a little bit dark blue
yeah.
spread on it.
But I
Yeah.
remember that people were very curious because of lack of a lot of information, lack of because we had a lot of books that were restricted and everything. People were so curious that they could make just about anything. Radio, TV, whatever. They could actually make it from a scratch. Most of them, not everyone,
Oh
of
my
course,
God, we were
but
so
most
handy.
of them.
They were so
Yeah,
handy.
yeah,
And we came,
yeah,
and people who come to America, by the way, one of the best workers here, if you can find yourself a Russian or Ukrainian, Belarusian, whatever,
yeah.
person who could do something in the house, it would be the best person. It just came from our roots. We just were very good at, like, just at work, like hard
Yeah.
workers and good with skills.
In 19, I guess 93 or something like this, 1991 or 1993, I don't remember. My father first went to Holland based on work. They had this exchange, and Russian police went to Holland, and Dutch police came to Russia. And my dad wanted to buy a car, like everyone who went there, and they were going on the market trying to find a car that they would get them and drive from Holland to Russia in these cars. And they found the cars, and the my dad's friend, he told him that this is not a good car. You have to have a lot of work done on this car. And my dad was like, so what? I'm just gonna do it. And my dad always saying like his friends was looking at him like he was a god because he could actually repair this car by himself. And my dad did that, and the person who sold the car saw how he handled everything, and he offered him a job. He told him that stay here in Holland, work for me as a mechanic. You will be like you will be a rich person here. Just
You will be
yeah,
golden. Yeah. Yeah. They're
yeah.
saying like a lot. I know a few of my friends, just a few, not everyone, of course, girls who did the whole freaking house remodeling
Oh,
themselves from like top to bottom. Like I cannot do this. You cannot do this. You hire someone
um,
probably. But some of the girls, they just, I'll just do it. And one is like, she's like a chess player. She's, somehow she also can remodel a house. Like, it's crazy. There's something we
well,
have
it was something very
because we had
common.
to.
It was yeah, and not just we had to, but it was kind of like sad and very odd not to know what to do with your car if it was broken. Like you have a
Well,
car and you don't know what's inside. That's strange.
but the same with like with remodeling the house. Like
Yes.
who would hire workers before 90s? No one.
My grandfather built a house. He built a house we have this country house. He built a little house for me for
Is
like
your
for me
dacha,
to
or are you talking
play.
about something else?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it's like in a place where my great grandmother was born. We had a little house there, and we went every summer there. And my grandfather, he built like another house there by himself with only one person. He built the entire house. He built banya. He also built a little like continuation of the house. So he actually never had any thought that he wouldn't be able to do it. He knew he can. Everything was made from scratch. He didn't have any help beside me. I had this little instrument, like a very like a toy. I don't know how it is in English. Молоток, toy
Hammer.
hammer, toy
Mm-hmm.
hammer. Yeah, and I was helping him to nails. I was putting giving him nails and everything. And I had my little toy hammer, and I was helping him building
You
the
probably
house.
had a lot of fun, much more than you did your grandfather.
Yes.
Just you get to do something big. You know what we didn't talk about?
Yeah.
It's like how mixed we are, how integrated we are. After why did I, Russian Ukrainian, grew up in Kazakhstan? Like, why, how did that happen, right? And I already mentioned my mom was a single mom, and I grew up with a single mother. My mom was born in Siberia,
Mm-hmm.
but at 15, she moved to Kazakhstan, and her older sister moved to Kazakhstan for a new life because after the war, they started developing the
Mm-hmm.
neighboring republics. And Kazakhstan was one of the probably because it was so big and had so many resources, it started developing faster than like other Asian republics. That's why Russian is more common there in Kazakhstan and probably in
Mm-hmm.
Tajikistan. And so my mom went to chase, like in America, people go to New York to chase the regimes, right, or Los Angeles. And there, my mom didn't go to Moscow, which she could, or St. Petersburg, but she decided,
Mm-hmm.
let's go to Kazakhstan, Selena. Ooh. Agriculture, right, was developing
Yeah.
like crazy, but she didn't work in agriculture. But like a lot of people moved from Russia to other countries, like you didn't move, your family didn't move, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people moved to Ukraine, and people from Ukraine moved to Russia. We're just all mixed and remixed, and that's what made Soviet Union at that period of time so strong.
Yeah.
Um,
I
in
can
terms
tell you
of
that.
like families and sports and education, I'm not talking about
Yeah.
politics here. I'm talking just
Yeah.
about like us
Just an
regular
ordinary
people.
life. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can tell you that a lot of like most of the families and most of the people I knew and I know are very, very, very mixed. Like my family heritage is so mixed. I don't know. Like we have Russians, of course. We have Ukrainians.
like you don't even
It's
look like typical Slavic, for example. I don't look like typical Slavic, so obviously we're mixed with something.
yes, Polish, German, and also Tatar.
Tatar is my family
It's
problem, most likely.
yeah,
In
yes,
every family problem.
and probably like in every family.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it was something that you didn't even think about. You never
Mm,
thought, oh, this is
with
a person from
as a
Uzbekistan. I'm
child,
not
I
gonna
never did,
interact with them. Yeah, yeah, because
especially in
everyone
Kazakhstan.
it was we were so tight and mixed that it was very common for us.
In Kazakhstan was the most mixed republic
Hmm.
because it was developing so fast. It was from a lot of countries, republics, people came there. So we had like every nationality in our class. We no one knew Kazakh. No one. Kazakh people didn't speak Kazakh. Uh, I don't know. It was just a thing, and now it's the opposite, and they respect the language and culture and everything. But it's also because my mom still lives in Kazakhstan, so she gives me feedback. It's still the country where people respect each other no matter what nationality they are, which is
Hmm.
great. Like there's no hardship for my mom, for example. Maybe for other people, I don't know, but for my mom not. And the young people who are different nationalities, they help her all the time, and she's so proud. She loves to live in Kazakhstan. My mom loves to live in Kazakhstan. So it started changing a lot after Soviet Union collapsed, but it
Hmm.
saved the unity, I guess. It's kept the
Well,
unity of the people.
I think that mentally we still are very similar. It's not that much time, between USSR and Russia, and this
Yes, we
great
don't even know how to
great
call ourselves.
Raspat.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that we're still very mentally united, and we still think pretty similar. Yes, there's
Yeah.
some differences. We will not just culture, but also religion and everything. So a lot of things that we have right now in Russia, like if you go to Kazan or Pitigorsk or Kabardino-Balkaria, you will find out that there's tons of different things that you would never even think about, and it's a part of Russia. So of course, these types of things can be pretty different for us, but still we think in a very similar ways still think that
Still, we
way.
still
And
we,
I
s-
think,
we, s- we still do, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe not the younger like the kids, like maybe if they're not because they grew
Oh,
up
oh, you
completely
know what?
different. But
I
us,
was,
us, we're
I
talking
like,
about us, the former Soviet Union
no,
people.
it just, that I'm in Moscow right now because I went to for
Yeah,
my
my
project, and
most favorite city in the world, most favorite.
uh, come to St. Petersburg. So, and I was, what did I just, what this facial expression? What was that? So where I was in the metro
Mhm.
yesterday, and I, eavesdropped on the conversation of two young adults. They were about like 20 or something like this, and they had this very odd theme, and I've heard this words like samogazlighting,
Oh, jeez.
something of the sort, like philosophy, концентрация внимания, the concentration of attention and everything. And they were so concentrated and so into this particular talk that I was like, all right, I think I'm
Different
gonna
people,
listen to some music. Yes, because
different,
this is
different, different. But it's all the different
it's
generation for
it's
sure.
it's a it's a completely different generation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but for us, because even like yeah, you're younger, I got more Soviet Union in me, but especially when we immigrate, we don't know how to call ourselves of our whole group of people who grew up there,
Mm,
because it's not before we called ourselves Soviets, right? Soviet Union
yeah,
people. So Soviet Union collapsed. Okay, for some time we called ourselves Russian. So everyone who came from Soviet Union was Russian, even
yeah,
if they were Kazakh or Uzbek, you were Russian because you spoke Russian language. And now people fighting it very, very hard because they want to keep their country and nationality identity, I guess. And now we're like, it's our people. We call our now we call ourselves ours, like наши
mm,
люди, our people,
mm-hmm,
or we call ourselves Russian speaking
mm.
because we're still there, we're still together, we're still grew up the same basically. It's weird when you go through changes, and we went through so many freaking changes, right?
Oh yeah,
It's insane. You
yeah.
live one day, you live in the Soviet Union, another day it's completely different country, it's all gone. And you don't know what to do. Everything started rebuilding. We talk about perestroika, if we should talk about it or not. We touched it a little bit, and then people are starting finding their identities, and the younger people are, the more independent they want to be, the more
For
dissociated they want
yeah,
to be from that
yeah.
period
But
of
you know
time,
what?
and
I
we
don't
miss it.
but you know what? I don't think that actually USSR actually collapsed in 1991. It started a little earlier, but still the vibe of USSR, it went through all 90. When
Yeah.
life started to change that drastically and that rapidly that people couldn't adapt well, they couldn't actually find themselves, and Shiva intelligentsia were, those intelligent people, they were the first to be like on the bottom because so many teachers, engineers, and everyone, they had no opportunity. They had to leave or become the new people of this new world, like кооператоры. Do you
Yeah, they
remember
quit. They
this
quit. Their
particular?
teacher and
Yeah,
doctors became
yeah.
a market sellers. So they basically
But yes,
resold stuff.
but the type of thinking was still like from USSR
Yeah,
when they
yeah,
actually thought that government will help or something like this. So it was really really hard for a lot of people to adapt well. As a child, I didn't, of course, I didn't notice it because for me it was 90s. For me, I told you they were not that drastic. I was too young for this, like too young.
yeah. I just didn't have anyone in my family who would do, like my mom started reselling too. Like she started reselling
Hmm.
too, and she actually met. She told me racketeers at the market because she
Wow.
had to give. Yeah, she had to give money, part of her money, to people who were just basically from the street, and they decided, let me get some money from people who do their business, and they came and took them some money and like, okay, now you can sell. But so I didn't connect to that at all. I was like in my own world, doing my own stuff. My mom didn't touch me, didn't tell me anything. She
Mm-hmm.
just, she put me in a warm house. And but other people who told me the stories and how they went through this, and so many people were murdered, and I'm like,
Oh,
now watching
yeah.
movies and documentaries, and I'm like, where was I at that period of
You
time?
know what?
I know
90s
nothing
is
of
the
it.
whole new topic. 90s is a
Yeah,
whole
we're
new
not gonna
topic
touch it.
because,
It's a whole new
yeah,
topic, completely new topic, and I would
completely.
not give much information about it because, as I said, I was living in a different world. We weren't rich or anything like that at
Yeah.
all, but somehow I like, and we obviously didn't become rich because a lot of people became super rich because of
Yes.
all this house and in the 90s. But I just
A
have
friend
from
of a
stories of
friend
other
of
people.
mine, a friend of mine, she has a father who was, well, he was not a criminal, but he was pretty close to the circles. And he told her that money were laying on the street. You just had to, bow down and grab them. Still, a lot of people, they
Well,
couldn't grasp the idea.
because they
How?
didn't know how,
Yeah,
never had businesses. No
yeah,
one had businesses. There was no business mentality in our head. And
yeah,
my mom, for
yeah.
example, when remember financial crash and when the money basically
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stopped existing, and 100 rubles became 10 cents,
Yeah,
$100
yeah.
like became 10 cents. And I remember that before that, people talked about it for like a year, for months. It's going to happen. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. You have to do something with your money. And everyone had something on their bank account that they were saving for, for older, old days. And I was like, Mom, let's buy something. Let's buy something. And I remember people were abandoning their apartments, and the
Mm-hmm.
apartments you could buy for crap. You
Yeah.
literally could buy for crap. And my mom, to this day, she said one of her friends bought 10 or 11 of those apartments.
Oh,
And my mom's like, I knew I could buy them, but like, it wasn't in her head. Like, buy real estate? What is that? Buy real
I
estate?
can.
What? Who was that woman who knew how to do it? Who was that Abramovich and whatever, right? How did they
I
know?
can tell you. I can tell you the story of my grandmother on my mother's side. She had a regular job. My grandfather had a regular job. They had money. They were not like wealthy, but they were not living from paycheck to paycheck. They could actually like put money on hold. They could live the way they wanted to. But she bought um, beddings from like every paycheck she had. Can you even
We
imagine
had a lot of
how
sheets.
many sheets and pillowcases and everything she had? She accumulated. And my mom have this diamond ring, very, very good. And right now it is very, very expensive. She told me that they have the opportunity to actually also buy earrings, the same earrings. And my grandmother was like, no, it's too expensive. You don't need it. And she bought a sheet or a pillowcase instead of it. Like the mentality of,
Yeah,
this particular stuff, like you
yeah.
can't buy diamond, but you're buying bedding. Like what's wrong with you? It's from now. It is from this particular time, like from 2025, 2026. But then it was a common thing for an ordinary people to do.
Yeah, but just my mom. But and actually, I was talking about business. But actually, my family was a family of business women. What am I talking about? My grandma, she was knitting
Uh-huh.
shawls.
Hmm.
From goat.
Yeah.
What is it? Fur? No, what goats have? Coat from goat. You
Yeah.
made a big
Mahir.
like a
Mahir.
shawl. No,
Mm-hmm.
shirst, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mahir.
And
Mahir.
she was knitted a big shawls, and they were selling, like, she would took like 2 months for it to knit. It's a big shawl with her little, hands and arthritis fingers, but she made it. My mom worked the whole day. Like, I was a horrible child, I guess. I don't know, I didn't do anything. They didn't make, but probably not for you. You're only child. You're the only child as well. That's how we are. But
Yeah.
and she was selling those shawls like about every 2 months for 200 rubles. 200 rubles is a lot of money in those times.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's how and my mom, like, we used some and put some on the bank account. And
Hmm.
that's how we made, like, I don't know, like 6,000 rubles or something, which seems like very small money, but at that time it was big money.
It was huge money. Yes.
And yeah, it was huge money, and it was, our, I guess, family business we didn't consider, but that's how people could make it, and we didn't pay taxes or anything. And now I was thinking, like, how many apartments she could buy with those money. Gosh, we could be very super rich, but this money just
Yeah.
years of collected,
Everything,
years. It was
puff,
just,
and everything was gone.
no one
Yeah.
understand how bad it was in the world. Like, people in the world just don't understand how bad it could be, because it was absolutely horrible. All
Well,
your money
just
collected, all your
imagine.
wife disappear overnight.
Just imagine you went to bed in one country. You open your
Yeah,
eyes next morning, and it's a completely another country. Money, life, social climate, and everything. And you don't know how to operate in this because you are lost. You're
yeah,
absolutely lost. There's no
yeah.
you anymore. You're living like in the past, but you don't know how to live in this present.
And also, people don't understand how long it can take to rebuild
Yeah.
a country if after a change, big change like this. But not only country, but your mentality, how
Yes.
long it stays. As we say,
Do,
some people never change. They still miss that, particular
yeah.
parts
Do
of
you
the
remember
Soviet
this?
Union.
Yes, the USSR crumbled, Iron Curtain lifted, and everything, every dirty thing, every good thing mixed it, and every in between mixed together, and like it invaded our minds, our lives, and everything, and we didn't know what to choose. Do you remember
We
MMM?
became
This
wild. We
pyramid?
basically
Yes.
became
MM,
wild. Well,
yeah,
that wild animals,
yes.
they uncaged us. Like, do whatever you
Because
want.
we didn't know what was bad and what was good. Like MLMs, like Oriflame and everything, they invaded our country, and
Pyramids,
people
you mean
from
pyramids?
yeah, yes, and
Pyramids,
people
yeah.
didn't know what was this.
Financial
uh
pyramids, yeah.
Financial pirates, didn't know what was this, and they were like going in there willingly because they didn't know any better, and no one explained anything to them. Do you remember how many cults? We were talking about cults like Jagoa and everything. They just had their way to a lot of people here because they were saying those um,
They're
soft
giving
words.
give people directions also, because
Yes,
some
yes.
people just need directions, and we had
And they thought,
none.
yes, and they thought that this is a new beginning. This is a new world. This is a new good for them. So we were so naive.
Yeah,
There was it
very,
was
very.
yeah. People were very naive.
And there's a lot of people who miss Soviet Union, and a lot of people who miss Soviet Union. It basically, they weren't. We didn't have classes, but we still had kind of intellectual classes, I guess, right? And people who miss Soviet Union, they didn't want, for example, to travel aboard, right? They didn't want to. I shouldn't say intellectual class because kind of diminishing, but I don't know, dreamers maybe. Like, let's say dreamers.
Mm,
People who
let's say
wanted to do
dreamers.
something, right? Wanted to do something. People who are ambitious. That's what it is. Ambitious people. The Soviet Union
Uh,
was a prison because they couldn't do anything. Like, literally,
well,
it was not. They couldn't even travel unless they were in a party.
okay,
Communistic. They
look,
were part of the communistic
I
party.
I wouldn't use this strong words as prison because I never felt I was in prison. My parents never felt like they were in prison.
But a lot of artistic
Um,
people thought so. Who were like who immigrated. They thought they
I can
were
tell you that a lot of
in
people right
prison.
now think that they're. No, I mean, a lot of people who are living right now think that they live in prison. Here in Russia,
Yeah.
someone thinks that they live in prison in Europe, someone thinks that they live in prison in America. It is just a matter of personal opinion. It doesn't mean that it was the whole country. I can tell you that my parents, when they remember like USSR, they have this sweet nostalgia. They don't feel like they were lacking in something. They remember things that because they had a good life. Of course, we're not talking about people who had very hard lives. We're talking about people who were new, right? So my
But
parents, they remember
yeah,
good food, like good cinema. They remember how they could be very safe out there.
free medical care, free
Free medical care.
education for
Yes,
everyone.
yes,
Everyone could go to
yes, yes,
college. Not
yes.
everyone. Sometimes you have to bribe. Uh, but
Uh,
yes,
they remember like they had the opportunity they wanted to like if you wanted to my mom, she was studying in a very prestigious university. She was in a financial university. A lot of
again,
people
we're talking
couldn't. Yeah,
about you living in St. Petersburg. Different
yes,
story, not the whole
yeah,
country.
I'm telling
Yes,
you
from
like
your point of view.
I don't.
Yeah,
It's my point of view, of course.
yeah.
So I think that it just the country is so huge. People, there's so many people that you know. Like if we would fit 20 people in the room who lived in USSR, I don't think that any of us would have the same experience.
Absolutely. We had, as I said, we all had free medical care, and
Yeah.
first everything went to the capital and the cities around the capital. Even though in the capital cities, small cities next to the capital were already not the same, right? But Moscovia, under the Moscow, was already not the same. But for even medical help, right? We had free hospitals. We had complete free medical everything. Can go to any doctor. Can go. I was in the hospital for months, obviously for free, right? And I got good medical help and these conditions I had. But also, we remember other experience. For example, women who went through childbirth. You had one childbirth in Moscow, in a small city somewhere. Women were dying because it was bad conditions, because doctors did not care about patients because they got so little money.
Well,
That's what was
I
happening.
think
It's not equal. Six,
I think,
seven. Sorry.
unfortunately, it's still happening. It's still happening, even if you
Yes,
pay for
I heard
something.
about it.
It's not
You
like
had to pay sometimes.
yeah. Even if you're now paying, it doesn't mean that you will have a great doctor who will care about you. I remember when I was a childhood, in my childhood, that they were very very rude salespersons. That this is something that
It's a
it's
different
a
story. Russian salespeople, the queens and kings of the Soviet Union.
Slavic stare. They were kings and queens of Slavic stare.
Yeah,
So,
let's do. Can we do it now? I don't know. I don't know. I want to laugh.
well, and I can tell you this. I have this little shop. This is a little store, like a farmer store, near my apartment in St. Petersburg, and we have the salesperson there. She's not even Slavic, but it feels like she invented Slavic stare. It doesn't matter what time of the year, what time of a day, if she's happy, if she's not, if you're asking for something or buying like for like a lot of things, she will look at you like you're a bug.
It's like I remember when I came, like I went to America already, and I came like I went to Kazakhstan. It wasn't Soviet Union anymore, but we still people are still the same, right? They're still, and we went to the bakery. I already like I forgot already about all of this. How
Mhm.
people communicate in stores, and in Russia, in Kazakhstan, whatever, it's very common to ask, is it good cake or is it good alcoholic drink?
Yes,
Is it ask
yeah.
salesperson like they supposed to know like what you're supposed to like? And
Yeah,
my mom, oh, is it a good cake? And she's like, you'll eat it,
you'll eat it. Yeah,
you'll
yeah.
eat it. That's hilarious. Anyway,
I remember my mom told me that like she was getting about clothing, like and my mom and I guess and my grandmother also, they bought clothing even though it was not their size because they had the opportunity to have something, and like they were thinking they were getting bigger or higher or shorter, they were just
for
getting
some
the stuff.
reason, we would always get bigger. My mom would buy me clothes two
Oh
sizes
yeah,
bigger.
на
You gain
вырост,
weight. The
на
worst.
вырост.
The clothes
Yes,
for like for you growing up, and
I
the
remember.
sheets for you to get married. So you will have your
Yeah,
sheets.
yes. I
I had
remember
a lot of
my
sheets.
mom. Yeah,
Bad
I
stuff.
remember my mom. She got me some sneakers or something like this, just like some boots, and they were too big for me, like too freaking big for me. What did she use? She put little cotton things in the top of the
We
sandals
did
or
that.
the boots. Yes, and I was
We did
wearing
that.
them.
All
But
of us did that. Cotton balls.
yeah, cotton balls like putting there, and that's it.
Oh my
So yeah,
God! I guess we all walked with cotton balls in our shoes.
yes, yes.
Oh my God!
I think that it was we had so much fun, like even remembering this stuff. Our human
It just,
brain,
yeah.
yeah, our human brain works this like it
And
shows
it's
us
good that we can find
good
positive, right?
memories. Yes, it shows us good
Even though
memories,
they were so
and not
negative.
yeah, because like my grandmother, she was remembering the hardships that all of the families and she and all of my grandparents had to endure because of the you know beginning of the USSR, and also because of the World War II. And like she still remembered something really, really good. Like her sister, she was working, she was digging turf. And she told me that it was really hot because it was summer, and turf is also like, it adding a lot of heat. And she was laughing because she told me, we were doing this naked. Can you imagine, like 1940, and they were doing this naked. They was digging turf naked, and we had a lot of men like watching us. She was laughing at it because she tried to remember something really interesting for her, not to be sad by the fact that they had a lot of bad things happening to them, of course.
Yeah, like a lot of women worked, and well, in America, I never even seen women working on roads and everywhere or somewhere
Yeah.
like that. In Russia, women did men's jobs, and that's why we
Yes.
have this, poems that said, Russian woman, she will stop a running horse, and and even if she
Enter
will
that
walk into a
burning
burning
building.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, women did a lot of men's job, and no, nowadays we don't do. And I remember even like stuff like huge lines in grocery store. I remember
Oh
blocking
yeah.
out in grocery store standing for milk just to buy milk. The line was so huge and it was hot, there no air conditioner or anything in the store. And I remember I blocked out two times because I was just, it was, the line was so big, and I was a child, and I blocked out because it's
I
but I
remember.
remember, yeah.
Mhm. I remember they put number on your palm just for everyone to know what the number is in your line. And I remember my mom, she told me, stand here and wait, like in line. And she went somewhere, like stand another
Children's
line.
always, it was always
Yes.
children
And,
staying in lines
and,
for hours because we had time.
and it was such a big stress for me because I was thinking, oh my gosh, my line is going to end, and I'm going to have to like tell this teta, this madam, what I need, and I don't know what's happening. But I couldn't even grasp the idea that I'm gonna stay in this line like forever, and my mom
Yeah.
yeah, she'll have time to come back.
But I remember good times when, for example, we need to buy potatoes or something in the vegetable stores
Mm,
because we have vegetable
yeah.
stores, and we would stay in line before the store would open. But we would know that they bring potatoes at that day,
Mm,
and kids were all in line standing there because parents had to work. And I remember sitting on a wooden box from like
mm,
other vegetables with my some other kids who were from my class sometimes, and we're just talking and laughing in that wooden boxes. We had fun for sitting there under the sun for hours waiting for the potatoes to be unloaded so we could buy freaking potatoes. But somehow, how did we manage? It was like our talent. If we had some kind of celebration, we always had the full
Oh yeah,
table. It's such a ours thing. The table were
yeah,
if the table is not breaking from food, that's not a good stuff, not a good
yes.
celebration. It had to. I don't know
You
how we
had to
got
put
managed to get all these
everything.
groceries.
Yes. Yeah, you had to put everything. Not a single spot should be missed. You had to put salad here, salad there,
Yes,
potatoes, roasted meat, and
25
chicken, and every.
salads.
Yes,
It's
yes,
everything.
yes.
Колбаса, sausages, cooked meat. We couldn't even eat it. It's
And do
Thanksgiving in
you rem-
America. You think it's a lot of food?
and do you remember you had 20, 25 guests every time? The celebrations were huge. You couldn't just miss some relative because why? Why didn't you invite me? And everyone had their places. The room, it didn't have any furniture left, only the table and chairs. And you just go to your neighbors and ask for a chair to rent for the celebration. And everyone were dancing also, and everyone were what? Singing. Do you remember table songs?
Yes, we sang a lot of folk songs.
Yes.
Well, sang a lot of folk songs. Now we don't, but we did. Ой, мороз,
Yeah.
мороз.
Мороз, не морозь меня. Yes.
Да,
Uh,
да.
one of
It
my
was a good time if you think about it.
one of my great grand uncles, I guess. His favorite song, his like the song he was always singing, and everyone asked for them, was the song "Деревенька, деревенька моя," and
Деревянная дальняя.
yeah, yes, yes,
Yeah,
and it was
but
such a sweet
yeah,
memories out of it. Yeah,
yeah. All these pictures. If you look at the Soviet time picture of any celebration, you think you're looking at your family, and it would be
yeah,
like there's people from Uzbekistan or like Siberia, but it would be the same
yeah,
carpet on the wall,
yeah.
carpet on the wall, full table, and people in the same sweaters at the table
Accor-
raising the same glass. It was the
accordion,
same
yes,
picture.
yes,
It was the same.
accordion. Someone was playing accordion, and
We didn't
we
have
were
anyone who were
also,
playing. Oh, actually, we had a
yeah,
couple of times. Yeah,
and we were singing частушки. We were singing частушки, and most of the
yeah.
time those little songs were pretty. They were pretty spicy.
Okay,
But I remember my favorite, this little song that my grandmother taught me, and my mother was furious. Сидит милый на крыльце с выражением на лице, а выражает то лицо, чем садятся на крыльцо. I was so happy when I was singing this, and I was like 5 years old. My mom was like, "Why did
we
you
had
teach her this?"
little, yeah, it's those little songs that had always some kind of cursing words in them,
Yes,
or some kind of meaning that kids couldn't really grasp. It was
yes,
like,
no,
but adults instantly understood what was like. It was like
yeah,
hidden meaning under that. It was always
yeah,
some sexual content or something
oh
else.
yeah.
It
Well,
was yeah.
actually, those family feasts, they were so they were so good, and women were helping each other, and men were helping each other. Like it was common for people to actually come earlier and to help, a family to cook
Mm-hmm.
everything,
Cook
with
because
salads and
cook is like for
everything.
three
Yes,
days. My mom still cooks for
yes,
3 days, even though she would
yeah,
start when we would cook two salads because she comes here and we don't do that kind of. I'm like, Mom, we're
yeah.
not doing it. She
And
would
and do
still cook
you
that salad 3 days ahead.
And do you
It's
remember, even if you were
a
living like
habit.
in one bedroom, in one room flat, or in two rooms, and you didn't have enough furniture, if you have friends from other cities, if you have relatives, and they were visiting the city, they were staying at your house.
You sleep
And
on
you
the
as a
couch.
kid, you as a kid was thrown out of your bed, and you were sleeping on the floor because guests should be sleeping on the bed. And it was common. It was okay. Nobody actually objected to it. It was like,
Yeah.
yes, of course. This is my, I don't know, seven times sister. She's visiting for how long? Oh, you don't know, for a year or two. Okay, yes, of course, he will sleep on this couch. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was our biggest celebration was New Year. So
Yeah.
almost always the biggest gathering was on the New Year Eve, and you had to celebrate until the morning. You had to go outside. Like my best probably memories are connected to New Year because it was like always fun. It was the best
Yes.
holiday ever, and you were so anticipating always. It there's like you
And do you
couldn't wait for
remember?
it.
And do you remember when you had those tickets to the city, на елку, пойти на
For kids,
елку? Yes,
of course, Santa
and you
Claus, Ded
had
Moroz,
and you
get
had the
orange
same
in the back.
presents in every gatherings, like mandarini and chocolate. But you were so happy because you got
It was
that.
so
It was like,
special. You
yeah,
open that
yeah,
bag and it smelled like that's
yeah,
one orange a year. And for every
yeah,
Soviet Union kid, the New Year is associated with the smell of
yeah.
oranges. Because, and so, yeah, we're taking over an hour, and we didn't mean to romanticize Soviet Union, but it just happened for some reason
We
because
did.
we were
No,
kids.
no. We were not romanticizing USSR or
Which is
communism or anything. We're
yes, no, there was
romanticizing our
not
childhoods. Yeah, because our
because
childhood was very full of surprises, of new things that we learned, of a lot of family gatherings, a lot of fun, and we should be so grateful for our families that gave this to us because other people had no opportunities like we. And even though we didn't have tons of money, house there, we couldn't travel abroad. I still think that our childhoods were. I would go there. I would go back there, like just like that.
yeah, that was my question also. That I thought when we would start wrapping up. I wanted to talk about that, but again, I just want to remind that socialism is not the same for
Oh
every
yeah,
country. It's just
no,
not the same. I want to remind it. It just happened that we somehow overcame the horrible part of it, which was dictatorship, and it's one of the main problems of socialism is dictatorship because it's the whole power, right, is to one organization. Somehow we overcame it, and we came on another side, and we started rebuilding it. And I don't remember that any of us feel somehow concentrated or congregated or in prison like of us, like no regular people, right? I just don't
yeah,
remember. I remember having this we didn't have money. Yes, we didn't have money, we couldn't buy stuff in the store, but I don't remember us being pressed for our speech. Maybe other
yeah.
people
I know.
were. I don't remember. Just us. We're talking just about our personal
Just by
experience.
us, yes.
Maybe people who wanted to do politics, maybe they felt different, but we didn't. We were just
You know
regular.
what?
Most of the Soviet Union people just were regular folks who worked every
Yeah.
day, like horses, who went to school and stuff like that.
And in our childhood, people from our time liked to talk politics very much. Every gathering, it was politic talks, and no one felt threatened by this. Like
No
in
one
my family,
fought. No,
no
and then
one fought.
somehow, yeah, we talk about politics, but it was it was the same.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
the
But
same. We had one
time,
party.
yeah, time and history, it's so nuanced, and the living of a country is so nuanced. Like for
We're talking
everyone,
about
it's
small
something.
period of
Yeah,
time. Very small
we're
period
we're,
of time. Hours.
we're talking about small period of time. We're talking about small lives, our lives. We didn't see anything. We couldn't grasp the idea of what's going on in even in our family, extended family, because we didn't know this. We were kids. But I think that it is. I am very fortunate to remember my childhood with this bright colors and happiness, and I really do hope that most people will find such memories in their past too.
I think that this podcast probably will be like controversial for
Yeah,
people in Soviet Union, right, who grew
of
up
course.
because everyone had such different experiences, and we understand
Yes.
that, and we cannot speak for everyone. We just cannot. We
No.
cannot
Just
only
for
we
us.
only can speak from our point of view, and do I like is that my question? Do we want to go back? Like I regret no parts of my childhood. Like for real.
Yes.
Not even
No.
single part that I could say that was bad for me
Yes.
because my childhood, even though we lived in a dorm for my childhood, we lived in Siberian village, we lived in a dorm, it was just not about that, and somehow those materialistic thoughts were not
Hmm.
overwhelming for us.
Yeah.
We just were just, I don't know, I just remember free childhood, and that's great. Like I could do sports, any kind of sports, everything was free. I could go anywhere on a bus at 8 years old, no one touched me. And
Yeah.
I literally could do anything myself as everything as a child. And we're both with Julia, we're just kind of grew up on the same level as a single children, such as I didn't have a
Yes.
dad. Maybe I was even more free than you were because I was less observed. Like I was like a wild animal. But I just remember that, like how free
Yeah.
I was, and how I can't let my kids to go anywhere on their
Yeah.
own, and I have to make so much money to put them in any kind of sports or anything, right?
Yeah.
And if you have your opinion about your, how you grew up and your history, please feel free to let us know in comments. You know, just let it go. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it ugly? Everyone has their own, and I know that people in America came from so many parts of the Soviet Union, and I hear very different stories, but I don't hear a lot of negatives about the childhood. Not used in the
Childhood.
90s. I'm talking about the childhood in the Soviet Union. Yeah, as
Yeah.
now, right now,
So
yeah,
mhm.
yeah, go
I
ahead.
hope. I hope. I really wish a happy childhood for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe I would not go back to the Soviet Union as it was as an adult.
That's true. But as a child,
As a
just
child,
it
yes.
is. It is. Yeah. Going back to memory lane was really interesting. It was really nice.
Yeah,
Like
it was
and
great.
subscribe. Yes, and
Yeah.
write a comment. If you if you found out something new, if it was interesting for you, and if you want to know something else, maybe about 90s, because 90s are
Different
even
era.
more interesting and controversial part in our history. Yeah.
And we can, even we don't know, we didn't live personally, but we talk about a lot of experiences we didn't experience
Yes.
ourselves, like serial killers, for example, right?
Ooh.
But like I'm talking about like 50s, right? 40s, 50s in the Soviet Union, very
Yeah.
different era. Like,
Yeah.
90s and everything. So it's in the topics, especially for us, because it's our past, and we love to talk about our past and our stories and everything. And so, yes, let us know and we'll go into it. Maybe we'll invite someone else, maybe not. Who knows? We never know. And Julia,
We never know.
and by
Yes.
example, but for example, Julia, we also have millions of Russian names. Julia is Yulia in Russian. And Ilya Malinin, by the way, is Ilya Malinin.
Yes. Yes.
And
And
to the
by the way, I really want to say something also.
yeah,
Vlad is not a short name for Vladimir. Please stop that.
it's true. It's true. It's a
Yeah.
different names. And
Yeah.
at the end, I don't know if I can because my mood is too good. I'm too happy. But if we can, let's do Slavic stare.
Oh my God.
That's it. Okay,
We're gonna laugh.
I just can't even concentrate. Okay, love. At the end of
Okay.
it, people, we're not gonna say you bye. We're gonna say you Soviet Union bye. No, that was American bye.